Hi everyone! Okay, for my very first tutorial, we're doing secret men's makeup. So this one is kind of for the guys, but anything that I do here is, you can do for yourself if you happen to be female. These tips and tricks are for you. This is typically what I will do before I'm heading out to a club or a venue, or if I know that I'm going to be photographed and, and I want to look flawless. It's not too over the top, but it's all about perfection, about perfecting, sculpting, contouring. So yeah, I'm going to start off. I've already moisturized my face. I've got quite oily skin, so I use a lighter kind of moisturizer. Nothing that's going to encourage any shine. And I'm using MAC Face and Body Foundation. I'm using N5, which is a little bit darker than my skin tone. But I like to bring up the color of my skin tone just slightly because I tend to tan my body, and I always use an SPF on my face. So my face skin tone is always a little bit lighter than what's on my body. Putting it on just like I would put on my daily moisturizer. This is a really nice light coverage foundation, which I'm just applying with my fingers. You can just as easily do it with a foundation brush. I wouldn't recommend a sponge because it's so liquidy, your sponge will just drink it up. Whereas your fingers are actually really perfect for getting this kind of product onto the skin. Because the heat from your fingers will kind of encourage your skin to take in the makeup a little bit, so it's not so much sitting on the surface of your skin, but it becomes a little bit further ingrained. Now, if you've got a little bit of stubble or a beard like me, make sure that you really work it in through the grain of the hair, because it can get trapped in there and kind of make you look a little bit ginger. Now, no offense to the ginger people out there, but I'd rather be dead than red. Just kidding. No, make sure that you work all that product all the way through the beard. Alright, easy. So that's your makeup base done. I'm going to go in with a little bit more coverage just to clear up any areas that I'm not particularly fond of. Like, I've got a little bit of sun damage on my nose, and I want to clean up the dark circles under my eyes and get rid of a few blemishes that are hovering around my face too. So this is the 109 brush from MAC, which is just a round dome-headed brush, and full coverage foundation by MAC as well. I tend to use a lot of MAC products because I used to work for them, so I'm very familiar with their product range, and it makes things easier for me. But yeah, this one is a full coverage foundation, which means that it's pretty opaque when you apply it. But like most creamy based foundations, you can really shear them out and blend them out so they don't have too much coverage, so they don't look too cakey. Now I'm just using a natural fiber brush actually, and I really like these because it really blends the product, kind of like buffs it into the skin. And it's a lot of makeup, but the more that you work it into your skin, like with your brushes or your fingers, then it's going to look more natural. So I'm really just working that through the central planes of my face, like the T-zone, around the nostrils, and anywhere else that I want to conceal. Don't use too much because a little bit goes a long way. A little bit on my eyelids too, just because my skin's quite translucent, and which means that you can see the blood underneath it, which is why you get dark circles. The skin under the eye is really fragile, and often it's quite see-through or translucent, which is why it looks dark, because there's a big old hole in your skull. Yeah, it's your eye socket, so it's going to look a little bit darker than the rest of your skin tone. Okay, we're looking pretty clear. Now I'm going to further contour the skin a little bit more, create a bit more structure, really encourage the bone structure in my face to be visible. So I'm going to stick to one product. I'm going to use a MAC eyeshadow called Symmetry, which is just a light ashy brown colour, and I'm going to use a soft fluffy angle contouring brush from MAC. Oh, I don't know. It's a natural fibered, slightly angular brush, and I'm just going to work that underneath the cheekbone. And again, you know, less is more. If you keep running that brush back and forth, it will deliver just the right amount of product that you want. We don't want too much. This is just to create a little bit more of a shadow underneath the cheekbone, in the hollows of your cheeks. Also for the guys, we want to work a little bit into the temple as well. And I take that into the hairline as well, just to soften that frame of your face. If you like, you can take a little bit under the jawline as well, which is a great trick if you're a bigger girl, you know. If your jawline isn't that distinct, you can create the illusion of a stronger jawline by shading underneath it with a darker tone. Like that. Okay, I'm going to use the same eyeshadow, Symmetry, and get a small blending brush, which number I can't read. And it's been a while since I worked at MAC, so I don't remember them, unfortunately. And I'm just going to keep contouring my skin by just popping a little bit of that in the crease of my eyelid. And again, just run your brush back and forth in the same shape until the colour's even. I'm just kind of sculpting the natural shape of my eye. I'm working that just up towards the brow, but I'm not putting it onto the eyelid itself, just above in that crease. Now I've got quite deep set eyes, so the fold or the crease in my eye is quite distinctive on its own, but you can easily create that shape if you have a flatter eye, say if you're Asian, or if your eye socket isn't quite as deep set. And by doing this technique, you're kind of creating that structure, that shape in your eye. Das ist gut. Das ist gut. Using the same eyeshadow. This one is like a little pencil point brush, but it's from Napoleon. It's the 7R brush from Napoleon. And this was a little find. I don't usually shop in Napoleon stores, but I teach there occasionally, and I used this brush when I was teaching and absolutely loved it. Great for socket work, but I'm going to use it underneath the eye just to deliver a little of that same neutral brown tone underneath the eye. It's kind of smoking out the eye a little bit, but tying everything together. It's just kind of framing the eyes without looking like we've applied heaps of makeup in the eye area. Okay, now onto the brows. Using the same Symmetry eyeshadow and a flat-headed brush. This one is a nice, sharp, flat liner brush. This one is it looks like the 212, excuse the motorbike going past my window. It's 212 brush from MAC. And I'm just going to work a little bit of colour into my brows, just because I find my brows tend to get a little bit lost with flash photography. They kind of blend into the rest of my face. So, and I love eyebrows. I love a strong brow. So I'm just going to encourage the look of a nice arched, groomed brow I'm going to extend just faintly. So it kind of just fades off into nothing. Now, if you've already got dark brows, then all you need to do is just grab a toothbrush or a brush like this and just give them a bit of a brush through. And if you've got unruly brows, you could even use a brow gel or some lip balm or some hair gel, or spray a bit of hairspray onto the tip of your brush and comb it through, and it will keep your brows in place. Okay, good. Now, because we've used foundation and concealer, the face can tend to get a little bit washed out. It can turn into one shade. So to break that up, we've added some contour under the cheekbones, but I'm going to bronze up just a little bit as well to make it look like that, you know, my skin has received a bit of natural sun. So I'm using a mineral powder. This one's a pressed mineral powder. You could use any bronzer. I like to use these because they don't have any sparkle in them. It doesn't contain any mica or any glitter or anything that reflects, but it does have a bit more of a natural sheen than something that's completely matte. Okay, that's something that doesn't have any shine. So I'm using a large brush, large fluffy brush, and I'm just going to work that a little bit higher on top of the cheekbone. I'm going to pop a little bit on top of the nose as well. And I'm just kind of pushing that on. I don't like to drag too much. Not unless I'm being paid anyway. A little bit on the forehead. Some on the chinny chin. Okay, so there's a little bit more diversity in my skin tone now. And again, I'm gonna blend all this color from my face just down my neckline and around my ears as well, because a lot of the time we forget our ears, and mine stick out enough as it is. So I make sure to blend everything into the face. Finish off with a light dusting of powder, and I am using Prep and Prime powder from MAC. It's part of their Prep and Prime range. It's a transparent finishing powder, and I really like this one actually. It's super fine, and again, it doesn't have that really uber matte powdery finish to it. I'm just gonna put that anywhere on the skin that I don't want to look shiny, particularly around the nose. Usually where your pores are the largest as well, is usually because there's a lot of oil being produced by them. So that's a good place to start. Don't go crazy, because a natural finish on the skin is more natural. Okay. I am going to finish off with one more thing. This is a brow gel. It's a tinted brow gel, but you could just as easily use a brown mascara or a colored mascara that's not black, just because black is a little harsher and we don't want to look too harsh. We want a natural-ish kind of looking makeup. So I'm just going to pop that on the lashes. Everyone has their own mascara application technique. I use a couple of different ways. I like to get the majority of the product in at the roots and then kind of blink it through, and make sure you coat all of your lashes, from the outside lashes all the way to the inner ones as well. Otherwise it just ain't gonna look real. And don't forget the bottom. Last thing I'm gonna do, bit of lip balm. Just pop a bit of that on. Yums. So there you have it, kids. Secret men's makeup. I tell people I woke up like this, but shh, it's our secret, okay? Let's see what's next. Don't forget to subscribe and send me any requests that you might have. Bye!